I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network, Digital World Acquisition Company, which is the SPAC, the Special Purpose Acquisition Company, which is supposed to acquire Truth Social. Well, like all things Donald Trump touches, it crashes and dies. The SPAC, which is trading on NASDAQ, is crashing to new lows. It is now trading at approximately $15 a share. By reference, it was trading far in excess of $100 a share over a year ago when I was telling people this is a pump and dump scheme. Not only that, but special purpose acquisition companies start trading their shares at $10 a share. And so it looks like to most observers of the market that not only is Digital World Acquisition Company crashing to new lows now at $15 a share, but it looks like it's going to go to $10, which is essentially the base level where SPACs start trading at. And I think ultimately it's going to even go lower than that. And ultimately, if a transaction is actually consummated, which I don't think the transaction's actually going to go through because Digital World Acquisition Company is under criminal investigation. It's under civil investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's struggling right now from all fronts. Truth Social right now is struggling on all fronts. It just lost its chief financial officer in the most recent disclosure. The CFO of Truth Socials resigned. 2 board members of Digital World Acquisition Company have resigned. So for all of those reasons, I don't think a transaction, the merger, if you will, a de-SPAC is actually going to occur. But if it did occur, I think the value will go under $1 a share in the event a merger does occur. But see, I don't think the merger is going to occur at all. A few pieces of observation right here to point out. Number one, Marjorie Taylor Greene purchased a significant portion of Digital World Acquisition Company shares over a year ago when it was at its peak. It was announced via one of these bots that follow the trading volumes of members of Congress. But back on October 27th of 2021, Marjorie Taylor Greene was believed to buy approximately $50,000 worth of shares, maybe more, and she bought it at that time it was about $97 a share. So her investment has been completely wiped out. And the life savings of many retail investors, their life savings has been wiped out. Again, Donald Trump scamming, grifting off of retail investors who have lost all of their money. This was a pattern by Donald Trump throughout his business career. If you even want to call it that, let's just call it his career of criminality, bankrupting all of his entities, destroying the lives of workers, destroying the lives of vendors, destroying the lives of everybody else other than himself, and then trying to find loopholes so that he could financially benefit at the expense of everybody's misery. So while the stock is now trading at $15 a share, many people are going to Reddit under the Digital World Acquisition Company Reddit, and they're sharing their stories. Want to read for you this story of one of the investors who has been completely wiped out by Donald Trump's grift here. This is what this person says. Is there a way to just return my Digital World Acquisition Company shares and just get back the money I put in? Answer: no. Sorry, Charlie. When you get scammed by Trump, this is what happens. And this is what it says. Digital World Acquisition Company is down again today, and I am just effing done. I figure the answer is no, but I have to ask. I scraped together every penny I could get because I was a believer and I thought sticking with Trump was the way to get my own fortune. But it's crystal clear now that the libs are never going to let Digital World Acquisition Company win. And as much as I still love Trump, he is getting bad advice now from the people around him. There's just no way Trump would have sold those effing email pics unless he's no longer in charge of his company. The worst part is that my wife trusted me as man of the house to make financial decisions for the family. She was nervous about me putting so much in Digital World Acquisition Company, but she knew it was my decision, not hers, so she backed off. But I'm afraid I might have lost so much effing money now that I'm just hoping there's some way of doing a reset and just giving up my shares in return for the money I paid originally from them. So to answer your question, no, there's no way to return your shares. To probe deeper into your statement there, it says nothing to do with libs versus Donald Trump. Digital World Acquisition Company from the outset had all of the indicia of one of these scam special purpose acquisition companies. It looked and appeared to be a pump and dump from the outset. And let me just peel it back for you and try to put this in a way that we could all understand in layman's terms. So there's different ways to bring a company public. One way to bring a company public is via the IPO process, an initial public offering. Another way is through what's called a special purpose acquisition company or a SPAC. When a SPAC brings a company public, what first forms is what's called a blank check company, which is not supposed to have had any communications with the target company, which is a private company that it is going to bring public. Here, there's lots of evidence that Digital World Acquisition Company violated that sacred rule of SPACs and had all of these communications with Truth Social, with Donald Trump, prior to the merger being announced. So when the blank check company, when Digital World Acquisition Company gets announced, what normally happens in a SPAC is that you look for a private company that is doing well, that has grown multiples over year to year, that has a history of financials, has some financials, from which you can have a financial valuation, make projections, and provide an overall value for what the company you are merging with is worth. Here, however, Truth Social had no history of any income at all. It had no history of any financials at all. That is essentially unheard of. So what the merger was essentially just a merger between a blank check company and whatever the heck Donald Trump wanted to do without any reference to any financial projections, any look back at how the company did in prior years, what its revenue was, what its EBITDA was, what any base level financials were. So you can say, okay, this company is valued at that. That did not take place here at all. And we know, like all of the Donald Trump endeavors, the Truth Social has struggled with the most basic things. It struggled to pay its bills. It hasn't been able to even trademark the name Truth Social. Its key vendor said that they hadn't been paid about $1.5 million. It's under criminal investigation. Its top executives have become whistleblowers to the Securities and Exchange Commission. People who would otherwise have been loyal to Donald Trump are now whistleblowers against Donald Trump, whistleblowers against Digital World Acquisition Company. The founders have said that the enterprise is fraudulent, and they have submitted documents and whistleblower filings to the SEC that reflects that. So that is what we are dealing with here, and how you know this thing has no value, and that it is a pump and dump where Donald Trump says, buy, buy, buy. This is going to be great. The price shoots up. And then when there's actually no value to this, people try to dump it on retail investors who don't know what they're doing. Retail investors scoop it up. People who are the insiders make a lot of money off the backs of retail investors. And people like you who are writing this get screwed. It has nothing to do with the libs at all. Here's another post from the Reddit. It says, it's all over except for the crying of the DWACers. The retail sheep have been sheared, and now they are slowly being led to the slaughter. In my opinion, there is zero chance that this de-SPAC occurs, given the legal backdrop, potential criminal indictments, resignations, and current market appetite for story stocks. $10.30-ish in return capital, and a complete warrant wipeout will be the ultimate outcome for Digital World Acquisition Company bag holders. Tell me why I'm wrong. And when this poster is referring to the de-SPAC process, the SPAC process is the ultimate filing of the Digital World, the blank check company, being made public. And then the de-SPAC would be when the merger with the private company would take place. And then the private company is ultimately brought public the same way you would do an IPO, but this is through the SPAC process. It's called the de-SPAC. And then Truth Social would ultimately be made a public company. And what this poster is saying, and this is consistent with my analysis here, there's never going to be a de-SPAC. So what's ultimately going to happen here is that the stock will probably hit about $10. You're allowed to do what's called redemptions for the initial holders of these stocks to get their money returned to them when there is no transaction that takes place. But all of the people who bought this in excess of $10 are ultimately going to be screwed. Or as this poster says, the sheep have been sheared. They've been led to the slaughter. And now there's zero chance that this thing is making any money at all. This poster says, world's slowest train wreck. And this person goes, just got off Google finance page for Digital World Acquisition Company. And of course I know how bad the stock is, but I started reading their quarterly financials, balance sheet for the year, etc. And I'm speechless. Holy shit. It's staggering that people are actually buying any of this, and it's unbelievable that it's even legal for it to exist. I was telling my wife it's like watching one of those old westerns where the train is heading for the blown up wooden bridge at full steam, but you only get to watch one frame a day. And then finally, there's one post too. I thought this was an interesting observation about the trading volume is so low that you can actually see individual trades. And what this person shows is like one share being traded at like 11.46 and another bunch of shares at 11.48 and 11.54. But the volume of this has decreased so significantly that this stock is uninteresting. People recognize what a fraud and pump and dump that this is. And the other question is will there be criminal indictments? And so that we have a grand jury that is in the Southern District of New York that is criminally investigating Digital World Acquisition Company based on insiders, top-level executives, founders who filed whistleblower complaints with the SEC, laying out the criminality here. And of course, the SEC is also involved in an investigation. So a lot of conduct here. We've been following the downfall of the Digital World Acquisition Company stock from day one when the SPAC was announced. If you go back to some of the analysis and videos that we were doing, we were calling it out then. And I guess it is a bit of a slower train wreck than perhaps we expected, but I'll just say this in closing. Look at the Trump NFT as well. You know, the first poster on the Reddit site was basically saying that because Trump did the NFTs, that shows that he's not in control anymore because they treat Trump like he's a baby, and it's the people around him always. It can't be Trump, even though the through line through all of this is Donald Trump is the fraud, grifter, traitor, but it's always other people to Donald Trump's cult members. When Trump is the one who is in trouble, they have to blame it somewhere else. But look at those NFTs. The NFTs also crashed. They're down like 98% from where they were trading at December 17th after they were announced. Another pump and dump. Okay, we're seeing the same pump and dump style stuff repeatedly over and over again. That's why Donald Trump is a menace to everything he touches. He is a menace to democracy. He is a menace to anybody in his orbit who does business with and or around him. He is a menace to humanity. It's why we need to call this out. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit the subscribe button. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers. Thanks to your support. And in addition, check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We've got great content that you could only see on our Patreon site, but most importantly, help grow this independent media platform. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.